The Funhouse Corpse. Okay, imagine you're in a haunted house in the US. Instead of cheap plastic ghosts that look like Walmart Halloween decorations, there's a rumor that some places go so extreme, they actually hang real human corpses as props. And visitors, they're happily taking selfies, poking around, thinking it's just a mannequin. Employees even repaint it now and then to keep it fresh, like touching up IKEA furniture, without realizing they're literally doing maintenance on a real body. This legend isn't 100% made up. It blew up after a super weird incident in 1976 while filming The $6 Million Man at the Pike Amusement Park, California. The crew tried to move what they thought was a fake body prop, but when they pulled it down, crack! The arm snapped off, revealing actual human bone. Turns out it was the mummified body of Elmer McCurdy, a train robber who was shot dead in Oklahoma in 1911. It gets crazier. Nobody claimed his body, so the Undertaker embalmed him with arsenic and put him on display like some sideshow exhibit. After that, McCurdy's corpse got passed around for 65 years through carnivals, freak shows, haunted houses, basically like a morbid piece of secondhand vintage decor. Eventually it ended up at Pike, where the truth finally came out. He didn't get a proper burial until 1977. The Bunny Man. Virginia 1970s. Already feels like retro horror vibes. The story goes that there was a mental hospital in Clifton. Locals were like, no thanks, we don't want to live near that. So the patients were transferred by bus. Of course the bus crashed. Everyone scattered, except one missing guy, Douglas Griffin. Soon after, people started finding half-eaten rabbit corpses around the woods. Some were even hung under the Colchester overpass. Locals whispered, that missing patient must have turned into the Bunny Man, a hungry, creepy drifter. And boom, the legend exploded. They said on Halloween, 3 kids went into the tunnel, saw a strange light, and vanished. The next morning, their bodies were found hanging inside. From then on, the curse was born. Anyone entering Colchester Tunnel on Halloween wouldn't come back. A couple once claimed a man in a bunny costume chased them with an axe. The boyfriend swore it was a guy in a rabbit suit, but the girlfriend said nope, just a regular man. Soon more reports came in of a man in a bunny outfit. Police investigated, nothing. The result? The Bunny Man legend spread like a TikTok meme. The Green Man, aka Charlie No Face. This is the kind of story that makes you rethink driving at night. In Pennsylvania during the 1980s, people claimed if you drove along Route 351, you might see a glowing green-faced man with no eyes, just a mouth, wandering around like a glitchy NPC. Sounds like a sci-fi ghost movie, but it wasn't a ghost at all. It was a real man named Raymond Theodore Robinson. At age 8, in 1919, he climbed a bridge to check out a bird's nest and grabbed a live 22,000-volt wire. The accident cost him his eyes, nose, and one arm. After that, he couldn't work a normal job and survived by making leather goods at home. To avoid scaring people, he only went out at night. But imagine this, you're driving in the dark, headlights sweep across the road, and boom, you see a disfigured face reflecting the light. That's how he got the nickname Green Man. The legend turned him into a monster, but in reality, he was kind. If people stopped to talk, he would chat back, even with curious strangers who just came to gawk. He lived this way until he passed away in 1985. The dead body under the mattress. Imagine this. You book a hotel ready for a night of beauty sleep, but in the middle of the night you smell something funky. You think, probably just a dirty carpet. Who cares? So you call the front desk to check, and plot twist, under the mattress is a decomposing corpse, meaning the whole night you were literally spooning with a dead body. The most famous case, 1999, Ocean View Motel, Atlantic City, room 112. Guests kept complaining about a bad smell. Staff thought, probably a dead rat, relax. But after a few guests checked in and checked out as fast as if they just had a failed Tinder date, the staff finally looked under the bed. And boom, a 64-year-old man was permanently asleep under the mattress. After that, hotels had to add a new rule that sounds dumb but makes sense. Staff must check under beds and mattresses, because apparently America has more dead bodies hidden in hotel beds than Starbucks has new menu items. People in the walls. 1986, Massachusetts. Daniel LaPlante, the ultimate creepy neighbor you pray never moves in next door. His childhood was basically a villain origin story. Divorced parents, abuse from both his father and his psychiatrist, dyslexia, no friends, and hygiene like a zombie. By his teens, doctors labeled him mentally disturbed. Shocker. At 16, he developed a crush on a 15-year-old girl named Tina. They went on one date for ice cream, but instead of talking about movies or music, he asked her about her dead mother. Tina was freaked out and cut contact, but LaPlante didn't take rejection well. He decided to move into the walls of Tina's house. Yes, he literally lived inside the wall cavities, sneaking out when the family wasn't home to eat food and watch TV. When Tina's dad discovered him, LaPlante pulled out an axe to scare them. He was caught, released on bail by his mom, and went right back to the same behavior. Eventually, it escalated. He broke into the home of a pregnant woman, tied her up, assaulted her, and murdered her. Result, 3 life sentences. Loyon, a.k.a. the Ghost of Maules. This is a Swiss urban legend, but it sounds like something ripped from Reddit creepypasta. In the town of Maules, locals whispered for years about a huge figure in a military-style raincoat and a gas mask wandering the forest. Unlike most urban legends that are all over the place, sightings of Loyon were surprisingly consistent. Since 2003, many people claimed they'd seen him. A photographer even captured a picture, published it in the newspaper, and the legend blew up. By 2013, police found the raincoat and gas mask abandoned in the woods, along with a letter considered his farewell note. The message said he was just a man walking in the woods for mental therapy, but after being stalked too hard by someone named Patrick, he had no choice but to disappear. And so, Loyon became a real legend. People felt scared, sad, and curious all at once. Cropsey. In the 1970s to 80s, kids in New York City whispered about a creepy figure named Cropsey. He was said to be an escaped mental patient who roamed the streets at night with a bloody axe, basically the final boss of Silent Hill. And of course, Cropsey was rumored to be behind a string of child disappearances. But this wasn't just a bedtime story to scare kids. The real figure behind the legend was Andre Rand, a janitor at the Willowbrook State School for the Mentally Ill. His background? Abused as a child, then growing up to work in an environment where patients were mistreated instead of cared for. The perfect combo to create a real-life boogeyman. Rand was linked to several child abduction cases. The most infamous was in 1987. A 12-year-old girl with Down syndrome named Jennifer was kidnapped and murdered. Andre Rand was caught and sentenced to 25 years in prison, but the figure of Cropsey lives on as a modern boogeyman. Boogeyman. If America has the Boogeyman, Spain has a much darker version, El Coco, the sack-carrying monster. He was said to snatch misbehaving kids or those playing alone. Sounds simple, but the real origins are disturbingly dark. In 1910, a barber-slash-quack doctor named Francisco Leona was paid by a tuberculosis patient to provide a cure. Problem: Leona knew nothing about medicine, so he invented a remedy made from the blood and fat of children. Yeah, medical scam final boss level. Leona and his accomplice Julio Hernandez kidnapped a young boy, drained his blood, harvested his fat, and killed him to make the medicine. When Julio didn't get his fair share of the profits, he ratted Leona out to the police. Result: Leona was executed, while Julio escaped with an insanity defense. The Toxic Lady. One of the creepiest urban legends of the 1990s was the Toxic Lady in California. The story goes, a mysterious woman was hospitalized, and when nurses drew her blood, toxic fumes burst out of her body, killing people around her. Some versions added that wherever she walked, lights short-circuited, floors melted, her blood was like acid, and her skin oozed like slime. Sounds like a rejected Marvel script, but the truth was real. Gloria Ramirez, 1994, Riverside Hospital. She was admitted with late-stage cancer. When her blood was drawn, a strong ammonia-like smell filled the room. Hospital staff inhaled it and immediately became ill. Nausea, seizures, difficulty breathing. 3 people fell seriously sick, 5 more were hospitalized, and 1 required emergency treatment. Gloria herself died soon after from kidney failure. It turned out she had used dimethyl sulfoxide, a pain reliever. Inside her body, it transformed into a highly toxic compound. When released, it caused bizarre symptoms among the staff. Not supernatural, but strange enough to spark an urban legend that still gives people chills. And that's the roundup of the creepiest urban legends I could dig up. This is Drawn to Know. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss any of our videos. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.